The pandemic propelled healthcare into the future with the adoption of new technologies, and in many ways shattered long-held assumptions about how we provide and deliver medical care. And joining me to discuss some of these healthcare trends in the post-COVID world is Lisa Sunin. She's the lead partner at Minot Ventures. So Lisa, looking back over this year, there's a lot that's happened, but what was your big takeaway with the healthcare sector and their response to COVID?
Well, clearly the healthcare sector was not prepared for such a pandemic, even though I guess there'd been for years, some threat that it might occur. We weren't prepared from a hospital and safety standpoint. We weren't prepared from a care delivery standpoint, a medical device standpoint, a pharmaceutical standpoint. One of the things that I think did help us is that we have long been preparing from a digital standpoint. And that, was part of what stepped in to fix the breach.
Right. We kind of saw this, I guess, interesting schism because, yes, we did have this acceleration of digital technology, but then we also have like some really outdated technology. Hospitals are still using fax machines in certain cases.
Right.
What are some of the areas of adoption that you really see growth potential in?
Yeah, well, there's been tremendous adoption of telemedicine and virtual care generally, which has been around for some time, but just has been sort of hanging around waiting for somebody to pay attention. The advent of the pandemic really forced people to use it for one thing. But now I think now that it's been utilized, people realize how good it can be. While there'll be some settling out and not everything will be by telemedicine anymore, I do think that there will be a balancing of digital that'll stay much higher than it ever was before. There's also been an acceleration of moving care towards the home. We've long talked about it, moving care out of the hospital into the home, but the pandemic has clearly accelerated that move, not just for basic diagnostics, but all the way up to hospital at home is starting to grow as a category. Remote monitoring, and biometric world is enabling that. Also, there's been a acceleration of just how science is done to enable vaccines and anti-infectives and things that we've been, kind of putting on the back burner for an awfully long time. And there's been tremendous innovation enabled there that'll, likely be needed for the long term.
Right. And so what do you see is the next step of the story then? Because I know you've kind of mentioned before, telehealth kind of got a lot of the big attention. I know, names like Teladoc were really hot last year, but what is the next step then? We have all of these emerging biotechnology, diagnostic tests, what's the next step in that?
I think the next step is going to be a lot of consolidation because, especially if you're looking at the digital health side of the world, where there's digital diagnostics and digital therapeutics and remote monitoring and telemedicine and virtual care and all of this stuff. Most of it's been very niche oriented for a very long time. And we're already starting to see things like the merger of Teladoc and Livongo, the merger of Grand Rounds and Doctor on Demand, others like it rolling up pieces of the medical puzzle so it can be more of a one-stop shop type of endeavor. And I think we'll see a lot more of that in the virtual and digital side of care for a long time to come.
Yeah. And, just to wrap up, what segments do you think will emerge as the big winners from all of this?
I think there's going to be huge wins in some of these care at home models. I think there's going to be big wins in areas that support the use of data for practical, changing in the delivery of care. So like prescriptive analytics, not just predictive analytics, but data use that actually gives you the steps to act upon and make a difference in how people are taken care of. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity continuing in the biotech world, which has been on fire for 10 years, but especially around the long COVID symptomology that we're seeing for nearly 30% of patients that have been sick. So there's a lot of opportunity to treat people in a different way.
Right. And I think really just to kind of tailor that healthcare to your own specific situation, I think is what is so exciting.
It is. We've long talked about, personalized medicine and thinking about it as drugs, but it's really personalized medicine is how you get treated in the system overall. And I think we should be starting to think about it in a much more broad sense.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for your insights today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys.
And for more of our coverage, you can head on over to investors.com. For